Shalom, Yasharallah. This is your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Ruach HaKodesh. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you, Akim, and pushing this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump into this here article or in this quick video, dealing with these UFOs again, because they said some interesting things in there in this quick video I'm about to play. But nevertheless, they was talking about how in the video they'll mention about how these UFOs or whatever they call them, how they they move like how not a normal way, how normal aircraft move, but as we know about the chariots and things like that, they're not under the same laws of gravity and the normal laws of the how we think of the laws of the planet, more or less to say, because wow, these UFOs, not only can they change sizes, they can fly, they go into the water, they do all these different things, but nevertheless, they keep coming out with these here articles talking about these UFOs, and now it's time, in America's history where they actually start dealing with these things, because why? It's inevitable. All right, they you can't cover it up, but for so long, and now you have to address the situation or the problem. All these other countries and nations, they actually speak about these things. It's just America, they don't talk about them. All right, but nevertheless, we're gonna get into this here quick little video, and I got a couple of scriptures to read, and pretty much to show you how this is all going to end for Esau, the so-called white man, in which about these things. All right, and just as another thing, that they say in this video, are there little green Martians in there, and they joke about it. Well, no, it's actually big so-called black men in there. All right, that's the angels are in there, those things. All right, and it's coming to scoop up the elect of the children of Israel, who are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and bring death and destruction into you Edomites. All right, so let's get into this here quick video. It says Navy pilots seeing UFOs. This comes from RT. All right, so let me get this here straight.
Now, this is a story that for some may be a little hard to believe. Hear me out. U.S. Navy pilots spotting UFOs flying across the sky at hypersonic speeds. This is the United States Navy reported this, and it's a story first reported by the New York Times. It is.
First of all, hypersonic speed, Hey, man, the so-called white man, his jets. First of all, human beings can't even go really travel like that at that speed. I believe that's like 20 times the speed of sound, I believe, But nevertheless, that's some super fast speeds. But nevertheless, hey, that's the chariots, and you can see how much more superior the Lord's aircrafts are comparably to, Esau's aircraft, all right? Because Esau has some pretty decent technology, so on and so forth. The Russians and the Chinese, they pretty much got a better equivalent to the America's F-35. But nevertheless, they got actual AI in their planes, and this is why the Lord is also letting them develop drones and AI and things like that, because why? The Lord really want to fight, man. So he's gonna, and it would be nothing for the Lord to fight one-on-one with Esau on the same type of level. But hey, man, the Lord want to, he's like, you could say the king of drama, man. This is gonna be a good movie, man. All right, you're gonna see all kind of aircraft doing all kind of different things, man. All right, so Esau is also how do I say, not expanding his He's like upgrading his arsenal, he's getting an upgrade with his planes and all those things like that. But nevertheless, the Lord is his Air Force, so to say, is way far superior to Esau's. Like I said, these spacecrafts, they can change in size. You see what I'm saying? They can stop on a dime. They can fly at hey, we don't even know how fast they can fly. But nevertheless, they these things are far faster than anything that these Americans or really any human being has ever seen. You see what I'm saying? Not only that, they can change sizes, they can change directions at the drop of a dime. All right, they're not under the same so-called laws of the planet like G-forces and things like that. All right, so let me just let this video continue on.
Sparked a lot of interest and attention, so I had to get asked my questions. Of course, I bring in our top RT correspondent, John Huddy, who joins us live and now with more on this seemingly out of the world story. Okay, John, are there little green men Martians walking the earth right now?
I hope not.
Are there little green Martians walking the earth right now? No, there's a goddamn red Edomite walking on the earth right now.
Okay, let me make it just to be a little bit.
I hope not.
Well, I hope so too, but let me make it a little bit more professional. Is this really fact or is this science fiction?
Well, it's a fact that U.S. Navy pilots reported seeing strange objects almost daily between 2014 and 2015 off the east coast of the United States, in particular off the coast of Virginia and here in Florida.
And like I was saying, these sightings are starting to increase more and more and more and more. All right. So they're seeing them more and more. So they can't really contain this thing. All right. Now, with the advancement of technology, everybody's walking around with cell phones in their hands. Not only that, you got everybody streaming all damn day. You know, 2/3 of our people, you know, you see them, they walking around live streaming and shit like that all damn day. So what? Any and everybody can capture this and put it on the internet and, you know, pretty much let the cat out the bag, you know. But nevertheless, we're going to continue on with the video.
Say these objects were at both high altitude levels, such as 30,000 feet, and sea level. And by the way, UFO can be anything that can't readily be or be explained. Something that is seen, but there's no explanation or there's nothing to definitively describe that. But going back to this story, in one incident, an F-18 Super Hornet pilot said that he almost slammed into one of the objects, which he described as almost kind of sphere-like. And in that case, an official report was filed. And one of the pilots, Lieutenant Ryan Graves, who spoke to the Times about it, said the object he encountered was flying at, he said, hypersonic speed. So that's in excess of 3,800 miles per hour. He said it had no visible engine or exhaust plumes, and that it was doing impossible maneuvers such as sudden stops and instantaneous turns, things that really modern aircraft, even our top fighter planes and fighter jets, are really unable to do. Along with, he said,
So again, looking at these maneuvers that these aircraft are able to do. All right, like I said, man, when you're riding in your car and you suddenly have to slam on brakes, the momentum, you traveling, let's say 60 mile an hour, you slam on brakes, your body's still traveling at that speed. That's why you move, you go forward towards the front of the car, because that's the G-forces. Or you at a complete stop and you're in a real powerful car, let's say a Corvette or some shit like that, and you step on the gas, you're going to be floored to the back of the seat, because that's the gravitational force pushing you back. So just imagine being able to take off. They have those high alcohol drag, those, you see them at the drag strips, those really long cars. They do the shit in like 7 seconds or less than that, 3 seconds, do 200 mile an hour. All right, those are human beings in those cars, but at the same time, and it's an immense amount of G-forces. All right, when they take the space shuttles up to space, I believe they encounter like 6 or 7, maybe 8 G-forces going up there. All right, but again, this is nothing comparably to like you going from a dead stop, all right, and then going into hypersonic speed. All right, now what he described is supersonic speed. That's why he said in excess of 3,000 miles an hour. I believe supersonic speed is like 3,000 miles an hour. All right, but nevertheless, they're talking about hypersonic speed. All right, but again, human beings would not be able to survive in these things. So you can see how much more superior these aircraft are comparably to Esau's aircraft. All right.
Staying airborne for anywhere from 12 to 13 hours. Our stealth jets, as incredibly advanced as they are, still have to refuel. So this is pretty incredible. And Lieutenant,
hey man, the Lord don't get tired, man. He can sit here and do this all day with Esau, but Esau got to go back and resupply, man. But the Lord don't need to resupply, man. So hey, it's not looking too good for you, Esau.
Graves reportedly said he thought that maybe at first they could be, commercial drones or something of that nature, but, really at this point it remains unclear. And the pilots, while excited in one of the videos from the Navy that was released, did not say the objects were extraterrestrial, but neither Lieutenant Graves nor the 3 other pilots, apparently interviewed by the Times, wanted to speculate about exactly what they saw, Scotty.
Well, of course, no one wants to speculate about what they saw if they're a U.S. Navy man. That being said, are there any reasonable explanations for this other than those little green men just toying with U.S. Navy fighter jets?
Well, yeah, and scientists, look, this isn't the first time that pilots, whether it be commercial pilots or naval pilots, have said they've seen unidentified objects, flying objects, UFOs, in the sky. But scientists have often said that it could be something related to, the weather, such as like atmospheric effects, reflections, some kind of weather phenomenon, possibly bugs in the flight input code of these jets or display systems, basically something, earthly rather than extraterrestrial. But again, in this case, these are U.S. Navy pilots making these reports that are being investigated by the Pentagon and certainly has got the attention of the DoD, Department of Defense.
And the reason why it's important that the homeboy mentioned these are Navy pilots is because why? These are like your most trained people up in the air, man. They know what they're looking at. You know, you got your commercial airline pilots, you know, obviously, you know, it's just like you driving a car, man. You pretty much have seen all the damn cars on the road, so it's not nothing really weird for you to see something out there, you know. But if you've seen like something like, let's say a bathtub driving down the street, you're like, what the hell is that? Because that's something that you don't normally see. All right, you're like, what? That don't look normal. All right, but nevertheless, with these commercial airline pilots like your Delta and stuff like that, you know, they see a lot of weird stuff too, but they don't see the things that the military have because it can always be ruled out. Maybe that's some new military equipment that they've never seen. Well, we actually talking about military people, all right? So again, these people are highly trained as far as seeing things in the sky. You know, they're exposed to a lot more secretive things like that. So they would know better than if this was just a military aircraft or some new type of thing that they're out there with. They would already be privy to that, all right?
They're not coming from, you know, some yahoo in his backyard saying that there's a flying saucer spinning overhead and that they're about to be abducted by aliens. So it's definitely something that has people's attention and is certainly, if anything, intriguing, Scotty.
It's very intriguing. And like you point out, this is coming from the United States Navy, so this isn't a joke. They're actually trying to identify it. And we don't know the drones, people there on the beach that have created their own sort of flying mechanisms. That being said, I know I brought in the right...
Now, that was the stumbling block that they put in there, you know, to make you be like, oh, this is just some shit that some people are making, you know, because they say, well, you know, with the new drones and stuff like that that people can buy, they can create their own shit. Hey, man, if the U.S. government can't create something to combat with Russia's, I believe it's called the Avangard, which is their hypersonic weapon that they got. All right, if the U.S. the U.S. military can't create nothing to match that, who do you think these motherfuckers on the beaches walking around can create hypersonic drone aircrafts and shit like that that can stop on a dime and take off like that and can outmaneuver these fighter jets, man? If that's the case, you want to second guess your goddamn military, be like, well, shit, if somebody at home in the basement can make something that's far superior to our aircraft that they spend billions of dollars on, then what the fuck are we wasting our money on? All right, but again, that was the stumbling block that they threw in there to try to ease your mind, like, oh, it's just nothing, you know. But hey, man, this is the Lord and His chariots, all right? We're gonna finish this here video. I got 10 more seconds, and we're gonna go into some scripture.
Guy to find us some answers. Thank you so much for joining us, John.
You're welcome.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you, just like...
Again, if you want to check that video out, it's Navy pilots keep seeing UFOs from RT America. All right, let me grab some scriptures here. Oh, wrong button. We're going to start here in the book of Matthew chapter 24, verse 29, I believe. All right, so this is, let me actually go up to verse 3. This is Matthew chapter 24, verse 3. It says, and he sat upon the Mount of Olives, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, what shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? All right, so what? This is the sign of Yahushua returning, all right, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, all right? So they're asking basically, how do I know when you down the street, you know what I'm saying? Or give me a sign to let me know that when, you know, my stop is coming up more, let's just say, or how will I know when you starting to approach, all right? And the Lord wound up giving signs and saying all these different things that was going to take place right before his coming, all right? So it says, let me jump back down. This is, Matthew 24 and 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. All right. And so this is like, you know, in the midst of basically all you know, the end prophecies, you know, Jacob's trouble in the middle of World War III, all these different things are popping off, you know, it's at the very, very end. All right. It says after all these tribulations that's going to take place, you know, the thick part of hell, all right, that we got to go through, this tribulation that we have to endure. All right. This is when you're going to start seeing, this is when the Lord's going to come back. All right. This is when the Lord's going to come and deliver us. All right. We're going to pretty much be right here. You know, those that are allotted to make it, they're going to be right here on this here, you know, wherever they are. They're going to be right here until the missiles start raining down, man. And right when those missiles start raining down, that's when deliverance is going to come. All right. It says, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And so let me just stop there. All All right, what is the sign of the Son of Man in heaven? All right, because this is somewhat of a mystery for some people or whatever, whatnot. But when you go through the scriptures and you read about the chariots of the Lord and how the Lord's going to come back and how the chariots are all throughout the scriptures, and you go line upon line, precept upon precept, and you pretty much, by looking at the prophecies and the end time prophecies, you can pretty much visualize how it's all going to go out. Like how we was just reading immediately after the tribulation of those days. All right, so what is the tribulation we're going to be going through? You can actually read up above from all of this, wars and rumors of wars, and be not troubled, for all these are the beginning of sorrows. We're going to have to go through Jacob's trouble and all these things. All right, and we're going to get another precept, which also going to show in the middle of this here war, this is when this is going to happen. All right, this is the climax of the war. All right, it says, and then shall the sign of the Son of Man, then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. Just to touch on that again, you're starting to see a lot of these chariot sightings or so-called UFO sightings now. I don't know if it's more and more. I would just imagine it just being a man, thinking as a man that there's more and more sightings coming out now. But nevertheless, you have to understand that we have the internet now, and everybody got a damn cell phone and can record now. So, and with YouTube, more and more, you seeing more and more people uploading these videos. So, but nevertheless, this is part of the signs of the Son of Man coming in heaven. Because why? Just like in that video we was watching, these people are being spooked from all these different things. All right, they starting to see these different things. But what? The minute the Lord know that this is the sign of of the Lord coming to redeem us. All right, to come and save us from out of this here place, man. All right. Verse 30 again, it says, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. All right, and why are they going to mourn? First and foremost, when you understand these damn chariots, we're going to grab that in 2nd Ezra. But when you see these damn chariots come out the damn sky, everybody's going to just be like, oh, fuck, man. What the hell? All right. And then also, you got to understand, in the middle of World War III, man, it's going to be a time. Hey, just pair this with Jacob's trouble. It's going to be a time like never before, the same time as like Jacob's trouble. All right. Or there's going to be a time such as never was since there was a nation, even into the same day. So we're going to be at the climax of all these damn calamities coming to pass. All right, you're gonna be in the middle of World War III. These military men, they're gonna be out there fighting and stuff like that. Then all of a sudden, like, damn, we thought we had a big problem on our hand, and what the hell is this shit coming out the damn sky? All right, so continuing on, it says, let me just read verse 30 again. It says, then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. They shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. All right, and growing up in Christianity, whatever, whatnot, they'll tell you that, they'll have you believe that the Lord is coming back on like a cloud that you see up into the sky, man. All right, but what? That ain't nothing but just water vapors, That's not what it's talking about, man. All right, let me read verse 31. And then he shall send his angels with a great sound of the trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other end, to the other. And that makes me think of that movie with Tom Cruise. I believe it's called The War of the Worlds, where they had these like tripods. They was like UFOs basically, but they came down and they was in the ground and then they came back up, But if you notice in that movie, there was like something going on, I don't know if they actually go far into it, but you had those things. They was walking around and they was zapping a lot of people, which we'll grab that in the scriptures as well. But they was zapping a lot of people, but then there was actually some people that it was sucking up and it was bringing them on the inside. All right. That's pretty much what it's going to be like when the Lord return, man. Them chariots is coming back for two jobs, man. Take names and kick ass, man. Taking names of the elected that they're gonna deliver up. All right, which they already got the names because they're written in the book. All right, but nevertheless, they're gonna wind up come picking them up and destroying the rest of these damn heathens. All right. So let me just read this, verse 32. Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When in his branches yet tender, he putteth forth leaves. Summer is not nigh. So likewise, when you shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the door. All right. So pairing that all together, man, when you see these prophecies, the minute the Lord on the highways and the byways, putting these videos up, constantly reminding you what these prophecies are coming to pass, or that we living in now, they all coming to pass now. All right. The end all be all is going to be what? These chariots. All right. But we starting to see the signs now with all these more and more chariot sightings. The American government is actually addressing this now. They actually investigating it now. It's like if you talk about UFOs, you're not so-called crazy no more. You know what I'm saying? Because we get into the end to where it's just the end is made manifest, man. You can't hide this shit no more, man. All right. You got all these damn cameras in space and stuff like that. And they showing all these different objects in outer space, like huge chariots, like super huge chariots. Huge chariots and thousands of smaller chariots just coming up out of them, man. And they sitting right there on the sun, man. All right. Like right up on the sun, man. And we can't even get nowhere near close to the damn sun. All right. And these chairs is just pretty much just sitting on the sun, just chilling, man. All right. But nevertheless, let me grab another couple of scriptures. Let me go to the book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 7. It says, and there was a war in heaven. Now, when it says there was a war in heaven, you know, people get this confused with, you know, the devil and like the actual spiritual demon Satan. Like him and God got into a fight, and this is where the devil got kicked out of heaven. All right, because he disobeyed God. This is not what it's talking about. All right, the devil in this scenario is talking about the so-called white man. All right, the deceiver on the planet Earth. All right, so it says there was in the heaven that it's talking about is pretty much in the skies. Like if there was a dog fight, right? You know, fighter pilots, they have a dog fight. It's gonna be in the heavens, man. All right, up in the skies, man. All right. So it says there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels. So the dragon here is talking about who? Basically the so-called white man, Esau Edom. All right. And his angels are going to be who? You know, it's going to be the so-called white man with his military and his fighter jets and all that type of shit, right? But what? The Lord is going to send Michael with the, you know, he's going to be in charge of these angels when they coming back, you know, and hey, they're going to get busy, man. It's going to be the Lord and basically the Lord and his chariots, you know what I'm saying, against basically the so-called white man and his chariots, all right, his airplanes and things like that. This is why you see the advancements of their stealth fighters and things like that, they fighter jets, they missile defense systems, they satellite weapons. This is why Donald Trump is going back to what they called, I forgot what the hell he called it, maybe the Star Wars program, but that was what it was called back when Ronald Reagan had it, all right, and before that they had it called it, what was it? SDI I think it was the Space Defense Initiative. All right. That was before Ronald Reagan. All right. And really, they've had this plan from way back when, man. They've had laser weapons from way back when, man. All right. So it says there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels and prevailed not. Neither was their place found anymore in heaven. All right. So, well, let me get to verse 9 after this. But it says, and prevailed not, neither was their place found anymore in heaven. That's talking about his rulership. All right. He's in his heaven right now, ruling at the top on the throne. All right. But there's going to be a fight for the throne, and he's going to get cast off his throne. He's going to be, hey, you ain't going to rule no more, man. Once you came up off that damn throne, you're not going to rule ever again. All right. So there's no more place found for him anymore in heaven. All right. This is not talking about the spiritual demon Satan and God himself fighting, and then the spiritual demon Satan actually getting kicked out of heaven. No, this is talking about when the Lord is sending his chariots back, all right, to deliver us. There's also going to be a war, because the so-called white man not going to let us go just like that. You see what I'm saying? But nevertheless, and the Lord is going to put the spirit on them to fight anyway. All right. But nevertheless, they're going to wind up duking it out. And who do you think is going to be victorious? This is, you know, a no-brainer, man. The Lord's going to wind up winning. All right. So it says, and really there's not going to be no coming back for Esau after this. That's why it says, and prevailed not, neither was their place found anymore in heaven. Meaning, look, bro, we playing musical chairs, and we done got down to the last damn seat, and you lost out on the last seat. So I don't know where the fuck you gonna sit at, bro, because I'm on the throne, and bro, where you gonna sit at now? We done got down to the last two chairs. We battling over this. Now we pull that last chair out. Now it's on. Hey, you know, you just basically got to go down into the grave, man, because you done lost your seat on top. All right, verse 9. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil, and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels was cast out with him. All right. So it says, and that great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan. All right. That old serpent going back in the garden, that old snake, you know, he is a snake, slimy motherfucker, man. Always, you know, like a snake do, always trying to crouch low in the grass and sneak up on you with a sneak attack, man. He's not you know, it's like a dog versus a cat, man. A cat's real sneaky and real, you know, he'll sneak up on you. But a dog, you gonna know a dog coming at your ass, because he gonna be barking from down the damn block before he run up on your ass, man. So a dog is way out in the open, but a cat is more like a you know, comparison to like a serpent. You know, they like a real how do I say, a sly, sneaky motherfucker, pretty much to say, you know, and the so-called white man is just like that, man. We would be pretty much like, the dog, you know what I'm saying? When we don't like you, you gonna know we don't like you. You know, when Jake don't like you, man, fuck that nigga, man. Fuck y'all niggas, you better not bring your ass over here, motherfucker. I'm gonna knock the shit out of you. Jake will let you know from, hey, you ain't even got to second guess Jake if he like you or if he don't like you. But Esau, he'll sit there, he'll be like, you know what? You keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Why? So he can sit there and keep finessing his enemies and smile to him in his face and make him think everything is all good or whatever, whatnot, man. But again, this is why they call him, again, showing you this isn't talking about the spiritual demon Satan. This is talking about the damn so-called white man. All right. He's the damn deceiver, the devil. All right. Satan, you know, the adversary. All right. And then that serpent, he's sly. All right. And that great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. And that's exactly what he's doing right now with all his philosophies and things like that, man. He was cast out into the earth because why? He was in his heaven ruling on top of everybody else. But now he's going to be just right there with everybody else in captivity until after his 1,000 years. Then he's going to be eradicated, man. All right. So it says, and his angels was cast out with him. All right. Well, let me read verse 10. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our power and the power of his anointed. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our power day and night. This is the so-called white man, man. If you look at the so-called white man, he do some of this shit that really he could be you know, like putting pork in every goddamn thing. Knowing we ain't supposed to eat pork and just like, yeah, look at these niggas going off over here. You know what I'm saying? Programming us to do all kind of crazy shit, man. All right. But nevertheless, verse 11, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved their lives. They loved not their lives unto death. All right. So from there, I'm going to go to 2nd Ezra, chapter 13. All right. And this is pretty much where they get the script. Not really the script, but pretty much a lot of that movie Independence Day with Will Smith. All right. So I'm going to just read from the top. It says 2nd Ezra chapter 13 and 1. And it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed the dream by night. And lo, there arose a wind from the sea, and it moved all the ways thereof. All right. So what? Starting out talking about this here chariot. All right. Getting kind of descriptive with this, you know, in the carnal world, they got things called what? UFOs and USOs. All right. UFO, unidentified flying object. USO, unidentified submersible object. You know, something in the water you can't identify. All right. And there's been reports of a lot of UFO activity where there's UFOs under the water. You know what I'm saying? Around these Navy ships. All right. Then also UFOs coming in and out of the water around the ships. You know what I'm saying? And they say, man, I seen this huge ass UFO go down into the water right beside, you know, the Navy vessel or the Navy ship, a big ass ship. You know, they came down super quick and, you know, went inside the water and didn't even make a splash. It just hit the water and bloop, right inside. Didn't even splash, you know. So it says, verse 2, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, and it moved all the ways thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. All right, going into that man, this is obviously talking about what? Yahushua coming back, but he waxed, it says, and that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven, talking about those chariots, all right? And it says, and when he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that were seen under him, all right? And that, hey, just think about that, man. Go back to the movie Independence Day, all right? The first Independence Day, or go on YouTube and look up Independence Day, type in the search bar, Independence Day, first contact, I guess, you know, when they first seen the UFOs, you know, and you'll see that everybody's having a normal day. Kids is Jake playing basketball on the basketball court, taxis is driving, police, whatever, whatnot. But then what? They started seeing this damn thing come about the chariot come out the sky. Then what? The kids that was playing basketball, they just kind of stopped, their jaws dropped, and they was like, what the fuck? People was driving down the street, you know what I'm saying, and all of a sudden just running red lights and stopping in the middle of the road, and people just smashing into them. You know what I'm saying? The police at the intersection, people running the light, and he get out the car and looking up. He not even worried about doing his job, man. They're not even worried about getting hit by goddamn cars, man. They just like, what the fuck is that? You see what I'm saying? They all trembling because they seeing this, all right? Verse 4, and whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth filleth when it filleth fire. Let me see, because it's all right. Well, I'll explain verse 4 in a little bit. I'll come back to that. Verse 5, and after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. All right. Let me see if there's may not even be in here, but it may be somewhere else where it says, give me 1 second. Yeah, there was was it right here? It may be in a different place, but nevertheless, it was saying basically they was all fighting each other. All right, basically in the midst of World War III. But then when these chariots came back, they stopped fighting one another and then they turned to fight the Lord. All right, which is word for word, basically what Ronald Reagan said when he was pitching the idea for the so-called Star Wars program, which is the space defense program. All right, and they'll tell you, oh, it's for, shooting satellites out of the sky or whatever, whatnot, maybe because of Russia. Nah, man, y'all are trying to fight, the Lord when he comes back from the outside, man. All right, but nevertheless, they talk about when they fighting in this war together, that they're going to stop fighting each other and they're going to turn to fight the Lord. Ronald Reagan said, look, how small our big differences would look if there was some kind of outside threat. You know what I'm saying? We would just forget about our so-called big differences because they're really small, and we would band together, basically fight this actually big problem. All right. And that's exactly what they're going to do. All right. So verse 5, it says, and after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of heaven to subdue the man that came from out of the sea. Slock. But I beheld, and lo, he had graven himself a great mountain and flew up upon it. I would have seen the region or place whereof the hill was graven out, and I could not. So just imagine, you go outside, maybe you go outside into an open field, where there's no trees and no buildings around you. All right. And you look up, you know what I'm saying? And you basically from the far left side of your left peripheral all the way to the far right side of your right peripheral, you look up into the sky, you can see the whole blue sky. Right. But now basically what he's saying is like, yo, I looked up and it was like a goddamn mountain from end to end. You know what I'm saying? I probably would have been able to tell you what mountain it was, but I couldn't even see the end of this damn mountain. It was just from one side all the way to the other side, man. All right. And that's exactly like when you see, we about to get into that description of, like I said, first contact on Independence Day. All right. But when you see that chariot come up out of, the smoke, you know what I'm saying? There's other places where they talk about, in the book of Ezekiel, talking about a fire unfolding on itself. All right. And, like in the book of Exodus, when we was leaving out of Egypt, they say it was a pillar of fire by night and a cloud by day. All right. Yeah. Like when you look at, what do you call those things? The space shuttles, they have the fire that come out the back for their propulsion. All right. And then also they have, they take off, you have all that smoke and then it's basically like clouds and stuff like that. But then you also have, how do I say, when these chariots are pretty big, you pretty much walk up under them for shade. You know what I'm saying? And you out in the desert, like when we was leaving out of Egypt, you know what I'm saying? You can walk up under this shit to be shaded the whole damn time. All right. And then at nighttime with the lights on it, you can see in the darkness, man. Not only that, in those times, back in those days, man, they saw us approaching. So they was like, yo, the men of our city heard about what the Lord did. You know what I'm saying? They all are afraid. Their hearts are melted, man. Because wow, when you see these types of things, man, it make you tremble, man. If you ever talk to anybody who's actually ever seen a real UFO or actually seen a real spirit or something like that, or if they really had a vision and really seen the Lord or something like that in a vision, you would be able to tell because their whole countenance changed, man. You wouldn't just be like, oh yeah, I seen a UFO. I mean, if you see them all the time, it's like the men of the Lord, we see chariots all the time, you know what I'm saying? So it's really nothing to us. But a regular person, man, they may have thought they seen UFOs their whole life, but once you really see one, it does something to you, man. You be speechless, man. You don't want to say nothing. I remember the first time I definitely seen a real chariot, you know what I'm saying? I was with a group of people, actually, the first 2 times I seen chariots, or that definite chariot, you know what I'm saying? And they had effects on the sky. It was a quick testimony, I seen a chariot one time, this shit came down, and this was a pretty damn big chariot, man. It was like, it was pretty big in the sky, just like how they described it. It took up a whole portion of the sky. This didn't take up the whole sky, but it took up a huge portion of it. And it was coming down. It actually came down. It looked like it was landing. It came down at a slant, but it was green. It was like a big green, not really a light, and it didn't even really have a shape. You know what I'm saying? It was like a big green something just coming down, but it was huge. All right. And me and multiple people saw this all at the same time, man. And guess what we did? Nobody said nothing to nobody. We all got up and we all got our shit and we all left and went home. That was it. We was all hanging out, but then it was like, you know what? Fuck that. We out. Nobody said nothing to nobody. We just looked at each other, saw that shit. We just left. Second time, same thing happened. This one came down. It was both times it was pitch black dark. This time it came down, straight down. It was like a big blue light. Came straight down. And when it came down, all the power around us, you could hear all the electricity be powered down. Zzz. All right. All the power around us all went out. You can hear all the power go out. Now, mind you, it's pitch black at night. It's super dark outside. All right. Now, when this thing came down, it was, you could pretty much see how big the thing was. You could pretty much see, from one end of it to the other end. But nevertheless, when this thing came down, all right, and it was also like a light. It wasn't really much like a metallic object or nothing like that. It was like bright light. But when it came down, actually, it wasn't that bright, but it was bright. But when it came down, it kind of gave off a light where the whole sky looked like it was 12 o'clock noon. All right, the whole sky turned blue as if it was broad daylight. All right, when this thing came down, went, you know, it was kind of far out from me, so it went behind the trees, came straight down. All right, and when it came down, as it was approaching down, all the power around us went out. You could hear it power down. Zzz. This thing comes down, the whole sky is lit up like 12 o'clock in the afternoon, but it was probably like, you know, 12 o'clock at night or later. All right, the whole sky was lit up blue. All right, and this thing was down where it was doing whatever it was doing for probably, I don't know, maybe a minute or 2 minutes or some shit like that. And then it shot straight back up into the air. All right, then you heard all the power come back on, all the power generators and everything being reset, coming back on. All right, and then the sky turned right back black again. All right, but nevertheless, like I said, man, and what do we do? What was our reaction? Nobody say, oh, did you see that? Oh, that was cool. Hell no. We got our shit. We was like, yo, and we was with Jake. We don't know what the fuck that was. We didn't even say that, man. We just got in our shit and we went home. We ain't say nothing about it. When we got back together, we never even talked about it, man. All right, so when you come across these people, hey, man, this is going to do something to your spirit, man. You'll see, man, you see these things for the first time, it'll do something to your spirit, man. All right? Just like in any account in the Bible, or when you read about certain men like Ezra, Daniel, certain of these people, when they had certain visions, man, they was sick to their stomach, man. They was sick, or they was, you know, they felt ill, or whatever, whatnot. But nevertheless, let me just continue on. Verse 8. Verse 8. After this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight. Because again, you know, when you see these damn chariots, what do you think their reaction is going to be? You know, they were going to be afraid of these things. They ain't never seen nothing like that, you know. These fighter pilots, you know, they be like, oh, we got superior weapons. We got nukes. We got these aircrafts. Look at the maneuvers we can do. But just like you saw in their video, hey, man, when you flying hypersonic speeds, you see what I'm saying? And you stopping on a dime, you know what I'm saying? Or you flying hypersonic speed and you immediately just go left. All right, like airplanes, they have to kind of bank and make an arching, you know, fashion to be able to turn, man. But these things, they turn like on a dime, all right, to a straight 90-degree angle, man. They don't even have to, they just go, man. All right, but nevertheless, you see these things, and you see how they maneuver and stuff like that, and you realize, you instantly realize you can't compete with that. All right, I'll give you an example. You got your little Honda Accord or Honda Civic or some shit. And you racing the boys on the block, right? And you killing everybody around the block, but they got regular stock cars. They ain't really like race cars. But then you go down to the drag strip, all right, because you think you done beat everybody on the block, and you think your car badass. You go down to the drag strip, and you racing like some real top performers and shit like that. You know, your car may be doing, if you know anything about this, your car may be doing 16 seconds down the damn drag strip, which is pretty slow, or kind of close to a stock car going down the damn drag strip. All right, now, you get like a really fast car on a drag strip, you know what I'm saying? Like if you go, I believe under 7 seconds, you got to wear a helmet because that's fast as shit, you know? And normally you're going to get down that drag strip in like at 100 plus miles an hour in 7 seconds, all right? That's extremely fast. So you can see the comparison from the dude in the Honda Accord versus these professionals, all right? Where it takes him 13 to 15 seconds to get down there, and then, you know, homeboy could have went down there and back twice before he even made it down to the end. All right, so once he get on the track and he see, like, yeah, I'm doing 13s, low 13s, and he see the dude pull up next to him, like, yeah, I got a 6'9", you know what I'm saying, or a 6'8", he gonna look to himself like, what the fuck? Marco, I can't barely hit a damn, a low 13, and you didn't cut my whole number in half. You see what I'm saying? But nevertheless, this is what it's going to be like, man. When these fighter pilots see, like, the comparison of what they got versus what they got, like, yo, we got the fastest jet, most stealth, they can't get us on radar, but then when they see actual aircraft that they can visually see with their eyes, and then all of a sudden they just go invisible on their ass, like, what the fuck? You can visually see stealth fighter planes, but, I mean, if it's in front of you, you can visually see it, you just can't see it on the radar. All right, but when they actually see something, they say, like, yo, there's a chariot directly in front of me. I don't even need the radar. I can see it with my own eyes, and that bitch just automatically vanish on their ass. They're gonna be like freaking the fuck out, man. But what the Lord is gonna put the spirit on these basically these heathen, these Edomites, to actually fight the Lord, man. All right. It says, verse 8 again, and after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. But I only saw... All right, so let me go back up to verse 4. Salakia. This is 2 Ezra 13:4. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, they all burned that heard his voice, like as the earth felt when it filled the fire. All right, so now let me jump back down Verse 10, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it were a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue cast sparks and tempests. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight. Let me just stop there. So what is this describing? All right, let me see. Roll up my windows real fast. You know, because I know there's quite a lot of that in there, but I can go ahead and break it down to you. It says, and they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest. All right, so basically it's talking about concentrated heat, high concentrated heat. Because why? When you have fire, first of all, when you blow on fire, you increase in how do I say the temperature on it. All right, then you concentrate it, like you concentrate the beam. All right. Hey, you have basically like a laser beam. All right, that's basically what a laser beam is. You know, it's highly concentrated, intense. You know, the light is really squeezed through. All right, so this is going into what? Basically laser beams. All right, so going back up to, like I was reading verse 4, and I said I was going to get back to it. In the movie The War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise and all of them. All right, you seen those tripods. All right, and when they were shooting out those lasers, let me read the rest of verse 11. It says, and all they were mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, which are these laser beams, fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up, every one, so that upon a sudden an innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and the smell of smoke. And when I saw this, I was afraid. All right. Why? Because this is a vision that Ezra is seeing. He was afraid. He saw this, you know. But nevertheless, going back into this. All right. So if you want a visual of this, you can go into, again, the movie Independence Day with Will Smith. There's that scene when that chariot actually opened up for the first time. All right. They stand on top of that high rise building. You got the Edomite girl, just like how Edom stupid ass is going to be out there. All right. With the damn signs. Welcome back. Welcome to the alien party. Not knowing that's your goddamn destruction, man. They sitting out there with the damn signs, and that basically the mouth of that ship opened up. All right, like it says, look, it says verse 10, but I only saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire. All right, so what? This bottom of this chariot opened up. All right, and then this laser beam came out. Like I said, you can go to Independence Day, the first Independence Day, read this and watch that scene. That's exactly what's going on, man. That's why I say they get that. A lot of that movie is right here, what we're reading right now. All right, talking about the smoke that they seen from one side, or not the smoke, the mountain that they seen from one side of the heaven all the way to the other side. All right. But nevertheless, continuing on, it says, just to touch back on this again, you know, not to go too far off topic, but when you seen, in September 11th, you know, I believe that they, you know, looking at their technology now and their weapons now, they have these, they call these, basically lasers, you know, these, I forgot what they call them, but they like, they're lasers, you know, laser cannons, you know, but nevertheless, like what they use out there in the Paradise Fires, you know, but, in 9/11, all right, again, they could have used a concentrated laser beam and shot it down on the World Trade Center, because why? Everybody was stumped because why? These buildings fell, you know, pretty much a free fall speed, but there was no resistance. There wasn't floor by floor slowing down the building from crumbling. But all of a sudden, in an instant, you just seen that whole building. This is one of the things that made me question, like, yo, dog, what the hell did they use on them damn buildings to get rid of them buildings? All right, the one question that you have to ask to be able to solve that question is, what happened? Where did those buildings go? Because when you was watching on the TV, you seen that, you know, it was those two tall buildings, 100+ floors, all that concrete, all that metal and steel, all that material, all the people that was in there, all the desks, everything that was in there, man. You had all that, but in a moment or an instant, all that was turned to what? Dust. As those buildings was falling, it was all turned into dust. He wasn't really left with a huge pile of rubble at the bottom. Yeah, there was rubble down there, but a lot of that building and all that material turned to straight dust in an instant. Going back to that movie, The War of the Worlds, when they was being zapped by the damn those tripods or whatever, whatnot. You know, they was being blasted, cleaned up out of their damn clothes, man. They was hit by the damn beam. The clothes was still there, but the people was turned to straight dust, man. That's why you seen homeboy running. He was being covered in dust all the time. Those was the remnant of those people's bodies, man. All right. But again, just like in 9/11, you seen all that damn dust. That's what it's going to be like, man, when people be getting zapped, man. If you want to see a real life scenario of that, it's not far fetched, man. All right. You've already seen that happen. All those, again, ask what happened to them damn buildings, man, or where did those buildings go? When you seen them buildings fall in them 8 seconds or whatever, whatnot, man, it all turned to what? the dust and smoke, man. Everybody was covered. You seen everybody was covered head to toe in white dust, man. All those buildings and all that material turned to fine powder, man. And this was exactly what's going to happen when the Lord come back and go to war with these damn heathen, man. All right, they're going to be turned to straight dust, man. All right. Let me read verse 11 again. It says, and they were all mixed together. Let me go back up to 10. But I only saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath. And out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived but only dust and the smell of smoke. All right. So when the Lord zapped they ass, it wasn't nothing left but dust and the smell of smoke. Just like in 9/11, when you see them damn buildings, wasn't nothing left but dust and the smell of smoke, man. All right, there was a small pile of rubble, but the majority of that building was just turned to just dust, man, and ashes instantly. There wasn't really no fire, man. They was all incinerated in an instant, man. There was nothing else left to burn up, man. All right, so it says, and when I saw this, I was afraid. All right, so yeah, that was pretty much it. But nevertheless, I just wanted to go into this couple precepts, because seeing that they're that news, that news clip and reading all these articles about these UFOs, man, this is the time that we getting in, man. So as they pushing this here out on the news, we pushing it out too, man. So our people don't get spooked at these things, Our people know exactly what these things are, man. Because why? Whenever we see these things, we shouldn't be afraid of these things, man. And we should be rejoicing every time we see these things, man. Crying out to the Lord to have him scoop you up. Just like Jake used to say back in the day, swing low, sweet chariot, coming over to Jordan to take us home. What the hell is Negroes singing, talking about taking us over the Jordan River to go back home? You know what I'm saying? Swing low, sweet chariot. They didn't really have planes back then. So what are you talking about chariot? A chariot is basically a means of transportation. All right. So what do you mean by swing low? Come down. What the fuck you mean when you ain't got nothing that fly in those times? You see what I'm saying? Swing low, sweet chariot. Talking about the Lord's chariots to come and take us home, to deliver us. Back in those days, man, the slaves already knew what the business was. You see what I'm saying? But what? There had to be a falling away first, as the scriptures say. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, this here lesson was edifying unto the elect. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rakah Quadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you. I can push this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and endure the afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Until next time, I say, stay strong and shalom.